All right, welcome to Chapter 8. This is Section 8.3 on compound inequalities and piecewise defined functions. Our objectives are introducing compound inequalities, finding symbolic solutions and graphing them on a number line, solving inequalities and writing solutions in interval notation, and finding numerical and graphical solutions, as well as introducing piecewise defined functions. Some basic concepts. What is a compound inequality? It consists of two inequalities joined by the words and or. So there's two things. So it's either and or it's an or. So, oops, and or. So this one we have this and this. This one we have this or this. Okay, that's a compound inequality. Now we're supposed to determine whether the given x values are solutions to the compound inequalities. So x equals 4 and x equals negative 4. So what we do is we plug them in and see what we get. So we plug in 4, we get 4 plus 2 is 6. That's less than 7. That's true. 2 times 4 is 8 minus 3 is 5. That's greater than 3. So that's true. Okay, so going through, they're both true, so that works. So this is the solution. What about negative 4 though? So going through the same thing, we plug in negative 4 and we see negative 2 is less than that, negative 11 is greater than that. And then we go, hey, wait a minute here. That one's false. So that one is not a solution. So to be a solution, it has to be a solution to both when you have and. Okay, so and has to be both. So this one is not a solution, but this one is a solution. Okay. Now, symbolic solutions and number lines. We can use number lines to graph solutions to compound inequalities such as x less than 7 and x greater than a negative 3. All right, well, x less than 7. Okay, now remember when you have less than or greater than, it's either a parenthesis or an open circle. And if you have less than or equal to or greater than or equal to, it's going to be a closed circle. So you might see this either way. So, it's either going to be parenthesis and an open circle, and, it depends on which way it is, or it's going to be a closed circle. And then in this case, brackets. They could have brackets. That's going to be the key. Parentheses, brackets, open circle, closed circle. So those are all the kind of the differences that you're going to see. So this was the lesson 7, greater than negative 3. Again, parenthesis, everything greater than negative 3. And since this is and, it has to include both of them. So we kind of look here where they line up. If you draw a good graph, you can see where it lines up. And now doesn't include this one, so it can't include it here. So we're going to go from 3 up to 7, and it doesn't include it here, so it can't include it here. So that's going to be our solution, is everything from negative 3 up to positive 7. And again, this sometimes is an open circle, and then we'd have a line between it. So another way we can see that there. So, and I guess they actually have the note here. Bracket or a closed circle is used when an inequality contains the greater than or equal to, in parentheses, or an open circle is that. So I just should read a whole thing and it would tell you the same thing. But again, when you have the equals part, you have brackets or a closed circle. When you have parentheses, it's open circle. When you have just strictly greater than or less than. All right, so here we're supposed to graph the solution again. And so this is and, so it has to be in this one and this one. So since they can draw a better line than me, I'm just going to go with that. So here, basically, we solve for x, we subtract 6, and then we divide by 3, so we get 2, so x has to be greater than 2. Here, this one, it kind of depends. There's two ways to go about it. You can take the x over here and the 11 over here, or if you take the 5 over, notice at this point here, when we divide by a negative, we switch the inequality symbol. Okay, so here we switched it. So when we divide by a negative, we had to switch it. So that's one way to do it. The other way is if we instead say add x here and we subtract 11, so then it says x is greater than a negative 6. And so we have to read starting at x and read that direction. X greater than negative 6, which is what this turns out to be here. Okay, so you just have to read it a different direction. All right, so greater than 2 here. and I guess we're not. Oh, I guess I thought they were going to be nice and show two lines. So it has to be greater than 2 here and greater than -6 here. And so greater than this, so this would be open circle everything that way. And this one is an open circle and everything that way. And so the only part where it overlaps is here, and hence the parenthesis and everything that way. So they kind of left out the step before, where over here they did two pieces. This one, they just gave you the answer. So that's kind of a key. So what they did was it was greater than -6 here, greater than 2 here, and then when that comes out, this is what you get. All right, so let's stop there and we'll come back for some more.